Oh my gosh, what a winner. Hi everybody, welcome back to Marie's Kitchen. I'm so glad you're here. Today we are making chicken pot pie with a homemade crust. I've had so many requests for this one and I've been working on it for weeks, so I'm really excited to share it with you. Let's get started. To start, we'll make the crust, and I'm gonna make it in a bowl with my hands just to keep things nice and simple. We'll start with 1 1/4 cups all-purpose flour. Next is 1 teaspoon sugar, and that's less than I usually use for a sweet pie crust, so this is for a savory chicken pot pie, so I'm using a little less sugar. I am using some sugar because that helps kind of balance the flavors and also helps with browning. Next is 1/4 teaspoon salt, and my favorite is 1/2 teaspoon baking powder. That's gonna give your crust just a little bit of puff and a little bit of structure, so it has a really nice effect on pie crust. Okay, we'll give that a quick mix, and on to the butter. Of course, the butter's cold. I just got it out of the refrigerator. This is unsalted butter. It's 1 stick, 1/2 cup, or 113 grams. Now I'm just cutting this into some pieces so it's a little easier to work with. Throw these in here. Now just using my hands, I'm going to just kind of mash these pieces of butter. The goal is to have little pieces of butter in your pie crust, and when those little pieces melt, they release steam, and that's what will create flakes in your pie crust. And in order to have those pieces of butter, we have to keep it cold, because if it gets too warm, it gets mixed in too much with the flour, and we can't overmix it. If you overmix or make these little pieces of butter, too small, then you're not gonna have as many flakes. Okay, this looks great. There's some pieces of butter there. It's not completely mixed in by any means, so it looks great. We're gonna use 4 tablespoons cold water and 1 tablespoon vodka. Now, if you don't use vodka in your house, don't worry, just use an extra tablespoon of water. So now we'll add our water and vodka, just kind of drizzle that in. Then I'll just kind of bring this together, just trying to make sure everything gets a little bit hydrated. Okay, this is looking good. Now when you look at this mixture in the bowl, you may be worried because you may say, oh, that really doesn't look like a pie crust. How are we gonna roll that out? Well, if you squeeze it together in your hand, it holds together like a pie crust. Nice and sturdy there. And even if I nudge it a little bit, it's not going anywhere. If you do kind of nudge it like this and it starts to fall apart, that means it's too dry or possibly undermixed. So you may need to drizzle in a little more water in order to bring that together to about this consistency. All done with that, I'm gonna rinse my hands. Now, in order to shape it into a disc, I've got a little technique here. You take some plastic wrap, or this is called press and seal. The press and seal has a little different texture, but I find it's easier to work with than saran wrap. So we lay out a big piece of that on the counter, and then we're just going to dump our pie crust right into the middle, and then we just use the corners to bring it together. Okay, this is looking good. Now we just use our hands to bring all the corners together, and then I'm just going to twist it like this and then shape this into a disc. And there we have our homemade all butter pie crust. Really easy, and you can see those pieces of butter in there, so you know we're gonna have a nice flaky crust. And I'll put this in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes. An hour is better, or overnight is great too. If you want to make this in advance, you can store it in the freezer for 2 to 3 months. And then when you're ready to use it, take it out, put it in the refrigerator, thaw overnight, and then you can roll it out. If you want to make it just a couple days ahead, you can store it in the refrigerator, but don't leave it in the refrigerator for more than 2 to 3 days because it'll start to oxidize and you'll see some sort of gray spots on it. All right, this goes in the fridge. Okay, now it's time for the filling. We'll start with 3 to 4 tablespoons butter. And next is celery, carrots, and onion. And I'm taking a shortcut. Love shortcuts. This is one you can buy. This one's from Trader Joe's. I know you can buy them from other grocery stores as well. It's just the pre-chopped mix of carrots, onion, and celery. So this makes it really easy. Now there's no chopping involved, which I love. Okay, so the butter is melted. Let's add our carrots, onion, and celery. got this at about medium-high heat, and we'll cook it until soft, which is about 5 minutes. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. These look great. Now we'll add some garlic. This is about 4 cloves, kind of finely chopped. And then next is some fresh thyme. It's gonna add great flavor. These are the thyme leaves that I used. You just pull off the leaves, and some of the tender stems are okay too. Now you just want to stir this around until it gets fragrant. You do want to be really careful about not burning the garlic. So just until you start to smell the thyme and the garlic. And it smells good. All right, next we'll add our salt and pepper, and I'm gonna start with 2 teaspoons salt, and I'll probably add another ½ teaspoon after I taste it. All right, there we've got that added. Next up is our flour. This is a 1/4 cup all-purpose flour. We're just gonna sprinkle that in over the veggies. And this is what is gonna help thicken the gravy. So just stir that around with the veggies until you don't see the flour anymore. Smells good, looks great. Now let's add our white wine. We have 1 cup of a dry white wine. And I'm gonna let this cook for several minutes. We wanna cook off that alcohol and just end up with some really nice flavor. And you'll see this will start to make the gravy. Ooh, there's the birdie. Hello, Gracie. She's so funny. She loves to be in here when I'm cooking. She gets a little lonely in her cage because it's in the other room. So I let her come hang out in here during the day. All right, next I'll add 1 cup of low sodium chicken broth. Stir this and let this cook down a little too. Now, if you don't cook with wine, no problem. Just I would use another cup of chicken broth in place of the wine. But later on, you will want to add a little bit of vinegar or maybe a little bit of lemon juice or lemon zest, just to have a little bit of that acid in there that's really going to balance the flavors, because this is such a kind of a creamy, rich dish. I'll leave instructions in the description box below, and then also on the recipe on my website, marieseva.com. Keep smelling it. It smells so good. Next up is 1 cup half and half. If you want it even richer, you can use whipping cream. Next is 2 teaspoons Worcestershire sauce. I'll give this a stir. Now, did you grow up eating chicken pot pie? I'm curious. I know so many people love it. I'm curious, did you grow up eating it, or did your mom make it, or your dad? I have to say, we didn't have it very often. It was just, if we did, it was just in one of those little frozen containers. That's all I remember. So this is kind of new for me, but I really do love it, and I really enjoyed working on the recipe, trying to get it to just have great flavor, beautiful crust. So excited for you to try it. All right, next up we'll add a cup of frozen peas. Okay, we'll give that a stir, and then we can add our chicken, and this is about 4 to 5 cups of chicken, and I actually just pulled this off a rotisserie chicken because it's so quick and easy. So we're just gonna add that right in. And that is everything. Pretty easy, right? Especially if you take a few shortcuts with the veggies and the chicken. There's just really not that much involved. My best friend doesn't like to cook. She only likes to assemble. So I have to convince her that this is just assembling. We're hardly cooking. We're just kind of putting it all in a pan. I don't know about the pie crust though. I can't see her doing that, but someday I'm gonna have her on the show and I'm gonna teach her how to make a pie crust, because I think everyone can make a pie crust. Okay, look at that, looks great. There is our chicken pot pie filling. Now we can taste it because everything's cooked. So I'll have a taste and see if it needs more salt, pepper, what does it need? Wow. So delicious. I think it does need a little more salt, so I'm gonna add about a ½ teaspoon, maybe a little more pepper. Oh, what you doing, girl? Gracie, no. She likes to pick at our furniture. She likes to chew on it, so have to redirect. So good, just right. All right, so we've got our filling. I'm gonna move it over to a 10-inch cast iron skillet, and I love to make my chicken pot pie in this. If you don't have one of these, you can certainly make it in a pie plate. I just find this fits really well and just works well. Now, I will warn you, for my chicken pot pie, I only use a top crust. I feel like it's almost like too rich to have both top and bottom crust, so I prefer it with just the top crust. And when I did send it to John's office to get reviews from everyone, they also appreciated that it was just a top crust. So hopefully y'all will too. If not, you can let me know in the comments. Okay, so we're just adding our filling over here to our cast iron skillet. And then what I'm gonna do now is put this in the refrigerator to chill. We're gonna be adding a top crust, the pie crust to this. And so if it's really warm, it's gonna just melt that crust, which we do not want. So I'm gonna chill the filling, and this would be a great thing to make ahead. If you wanna make it the day before, great idea. Then when you put your top crust on, it's cold on cold and you're all good. Okay, just a little note, this is how thick the chicken pot pie is gonna be. It's not gonna be a real soupy, but I love the texture just like this. If you wanted it soupier, you could add some more half and half or a little more chicken stock and make it more of a soupy texture. I just really like it this way. So into the fridge. And while I was over there, I grabbed our crust, which is ready to roll out. To roll out the crust, you'll just need a little bowl of flour and your trusty rolling pin. We'll unwrap our crust and add a little bit of flour to the mat, a little bit on my hands. And then I like to just press it out like this with my hands. A little flour on top, especially if it feels a little sticky. And then a little flour on our rolling pin. And then we'll just roll, turn, roll, turn. The rolling and turning method really helps to prevent your pie crust from sticking. And then the other thing it helps with is that it helps keep your pie crust in a nice round shape. Ooh, isn't that beautiful? Can you see that butter in there? Really nice. All right, here we have our chicken pot pie filling that's been chilling in the refrigerator for a little while. I've got it on a baking sheet lined with parchment. That's how I always bake all my pies, mainly because if anything bubbles over, it's not gonna go in the bottom of your oven. Now let's add the pie crust, and I do have my oven preheating at 415 degrees. So that's going because you want to have everything ready, because like I said, if this is warm and this is going on that, the longer it sits on there, the more it's going to melt and warm up. And you don't want to do that with a pie crust. You always want to keep it as cold as possible. So we'll just set this over on our skillet like this, little hanging over. And because this doesn't have a lip around the edge, I'm just going to tuck this right under, right to the edge of the skillet there. Okay, so we tuck that under, nothing fancy, and I do not do any decoration. I think it looks just lovely, just the way it is. Let me grab the egg for the egg wash. Did the same thing last time I made this. Totally forgot the egg wash. For the egg wash, it's just 1 egg and 2 teaspoons water. Give that a quick whisk. I often strain it just to get some of those gooey pieces out, but we're in a hurry here, aren't we? So we're just gonna brush this on all over. This gives it such a beautiful golden crust. Okay, I'll just cut 4 slits to let the steam escape. Now this goes in the oven at 415 degrees for about 20 minutes. Beautiful. All right, it's been 15 minutes, so I'm gonna turn the oven to 375 and cook for about 40 to 50 minutes more. I'm also gonna rotate that pan about 180 degrees, just so we're cooking it evenly. And I'll see you back here in about 40 minutes. All right, the chicken pot pie is done. We're gonna grab it out of the oven. I can't wait for you to see it. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm very glad that I cooked this on a baking sheet because it definitely did bubble over, but oh my gosh, this looks incredible. Smells incredible. The whole house smells good. I'm gonna have to wait just a little bit to try some, but I can't wait. Okay, I definitely don't recommend doing this at home because I know it's gonna be real hot, but I'm gonna go ahead and try some. Ooh, look at that crispy crust. My goodness, the crust needs a microphone. Ooh, it's too hot. Now it's gonna be a little messy since it's so hot. When it cools for a bit, it'll firm up a little bit and then it'll be a little easier to serve. You know, this would be so great with turkey. After Thanksgiving, if you have leftover turkey, this would be a great dish to make. Turkey pot pie, right? Okay, I'm gonna try to bite this without completely scalding my mouth. Way too hot, but oh my gosh, what a winner. The flavor is so good. It's not too rich. Got great, you know, thyme and Worcestershire and all the vegetables. It's just delicious. I can't wait for you to try it. If you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. It really is the best way to support the channel. Also hit the subscribe button and the bell button for notifications. So every time I get a new video out, you'll be the first to know. You can get the recipe on my website, mariesaba.com. And of course, if you have any questions, leave me a comment below or send me an email, marie@mariesaba.com. I would love to hear from you. I hope you learned that with the right ingredients and the right techniques, making a homemade chicken pot pie is easier than you think. All right, we'll see you next time.